Hello and welcome to Blockchange Solidarity, the podcast where we ask what blockchain can do for us. What is blockchain? What is crypto? Could it rescue us from our current dystopia? Come with us as we explore the very real potential to enhance human freedom and as we delve into the darker side, predicting the Bond-villain potential of this current bleeding edge. Join us, a group of friends in a pub style, as we discuss the overlaps between this technology and politics, economics, the environment, culture and sci-fi, to understand for ourselves the seemingly mysterious futuristic world on our horizon. Bang bang everyone, welcome back to Blockchain Solidarity. Awesome this week. Last week we had Crypto Dark Pod on. I'm sure everyone was able to listen to that episode. This week we have two of our other pods on, Web3Workers Pod and Web3Roots Pod. And we have some of the co-hosts here with us. We have Hazel, Sardius from Web3Workers Pod, and we have Vanessa from Web3Roots Pod. Fortunately, our other co-host couldn't make it for Web3Roots Pod, Claudio from the Dream Machine, but he's going to catch up with us later. Guys, how are you? Glad to have you here joining us, and we can't wait to get talking about your pods. How's everyone today?
Yeah,
doing good. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, good. Glad to be here.
Great. Where are you all? Vanessa, you're in Venezuela, right? How's things in Venezuela tonight?
Yeah, I'm in Venezuela. Right now I'm in Caracas, and things are good here. We had kind of a weird day without electric power for a bit, but all good.
Yeah, we were a little bit worried that the lights were off in Caracas on and off all day, and that would be a bit of a problem for Vanessa joining us, but we're so glad she's here. Folks listening might know Vanessa. She joined us for the Coconut DAO episode before Christmas. That was wonderful. If everyone hasn't checked that out, check it out now. As we knew Vanessa was going to be a co-host on the new pod, so we were happy she joined us then, and we're so delighted to have her on. Sardius and Hazel, why don't you start us off from Web3 Workers Pod? What's your backgrounds? How did you arrive on the scene? What work have you been doing so far? Hazel, why don't you start us off?
Awesome. Thank you for the intro. I have a political theory background, so I studied political theory in school, and I've lived in various just co-ops and intentional communities throughout my life. So I've always been intrigued by themes like mutual aid, collective action, and community self-governance. So when I came across DAOs in 2019, I just jumped straight into the rabbit hole. And so I spent a lot of time thinking about DAOs. And I'm currently working with Labor DAO. I'm currently working with DAOstar and Metagov project to support DAO governance research. And I think Labor DAO is something that I'm focusing on right now, and it's focusing on making DAO and bringing DAO as a tool for workers to organize and unionize.
Wonderful. All those beautiful words, DAOs and cooperatives and, so organizing, all that. Your background is just perfect for us. And we'll touch on the Labour DAO work briefly when we get talking about the pod itself, because I think we're going to focus a lot in the pod about some of that research, because you guys are really leading that kind of forefront of that research in this world. So thanks for that, Hazel. It's really interesting. Sardius, tell the world about yourself. Everyone probably knows who you are. You're in and around these. You've been in this game for long enough. How's it going? Tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I've been in crypto, blockchain, Web3, whatever kind of rebrand we're going through for about 9 years, so I've been in the mix a long time. I've done a lot of different things over the years. Even had a crypto mining business back in 2017, 2018. I'm active builder. I like to code up smart contracts, Web3 dApps, study analytics. I'm active in a variety of different DAOs, developer DAO, bankless DAO, metrics DAO, and I helped run Impact DAO media operations. And I'm just really intrigued by the new kind of ownership paradigms that are coming out of Web3, especially through working in DAOs and with DAOs and seeing how that model is going to revolutionize things. And, in my kind of real world job, I guess, I actually lead up my local union as a chief steward. So I'm just really interested in how Web3 can improve kind of ideas I've seen sort of falter in our current organizational system. So I'm really attracted to like the regen side of Web3 in particular, and anything and everything involving just regenerative type activities. I think there's this enormous potential here to solve a lot of our like entrenched problems that we just haven't been able to outthink using kind of 20th century thinking. And yeah, just stoked to be here. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and that's awesome. And both of you, Hazel and Sardius, you're so much better connected than me. It makes me feel really humble. You guys have been doing such good work. And Sardius and I worked on a project before, Impact DAOs, and I kind of had some insight into his background. And Hazel, of course, like you with Labour DAO and having spoke to you as well. It's so awesome. And then when I was speaking to Sardius, I was like, this is fantastic. And then he dropped that he was a chief steward in his union in real life. I was like, boom, another perfect fit. So it's just wonderful. You guys are going to bring so much experience and passion and network effects to this pod. So it's just great. It's going to be really exciting. Vanessa, let's introduce yourself, and then we can talk about each pod individually. Tell the world about Vanessa. What have you been up to? What are you passionate about? What drives you on in the blockchain world?
Well, I'm a journalist, and also a musician.
One of the good ones, eh?
And I've been developing on production, on branding, and storytelling from the last few years. And right now, I'm more focused on writing. I want to start writing again. And I've also been intrigued by spirituality. I've been working with the native people of my land and with ancestral medicines. So I'm integrating that knowledge into my life. So I'm intrigued about how Web3 and spirituality intertwine. In a way, how can we make this technology to serve the spirit? So that's why I want to explore this in Web3Roots. More like the why of the project. What drives these people to do these regen projects?
Yeah, wonderful. And I think you're a perfect fit for this as well. And Vanessa and I, for so long, we're just thinking about how we can use these themes that she's passionate about, that I'm passionate about. And it took us a while, Vanessa, didn't it, just to get that perfect sort of crystallized thinking on it. And then Claudio came in. Claudio from the Dream Machine, as I said, he's not able to join us. But Claudio works with the Dream Machine, and they're doing their own project looking at sort of indigenous communities in Latin America. I'm gonna not be able to do this justice, folks. So check out the Dream Machine on Twitter. But it's anti-crypto colonialism, working with doing some research in Latin America about how crypto and blockchain really gets past this kind of capitalist thinking, this kind of like outsider thinking, and takes local values, thinking about different ways to build up Web3 regeneratively, and using these kind of spiritual values as well. This is what he brought to the conversation. That's what he's passionate about, and that really helped us get to crystallize our thinking for Web3 roots. But let's talk a little bit more about that in a second, and jump back to Hazel and Sardius. But I think and feel free to jump in, Vanessa, as well, because I think like our project that we're building, there's so many overlapping themes: decentralization, empowerment of workers, empowerment of bottom up, right? Bottom up governance, decentralization, and different modes of thinking about economy and how to build a better system, right? So Sardius and Hazel, what would you like to get out of? What do you think we can achieve? What do you think's wrong with the Web3 world currently, or what do you think's wrong with the current system? How do you think we can use this pod to change Web3, to make it pro-worker? Who are we trying to help? What are we trying to achieve? Sardius, you want to go first?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Yeah, so I think there's just a great opportunity here. I think they're kind of cyclically, we're seeing a big kind of pushback, for lack of a better word, between kind of the principles of neoliberalism, runaway globalization that have just kind of aggregated power, obviously, to a select few and dominant corporations, and that model has kind of seemingly run its course. We're kind of seeing the fractures in every part of society through our values, local communities, and on a massive scale. And everyone sort of feels, I mean, I don't know if I can speak for everyone, but I'm just saying, I think that there's the winds of change feel like they're blowing. Everyone feels like there's something wrong, that we need to try something new. And I think that, the principles, I thought, Vanessa did a great job articulating that, like, spiritual values really underlie this change, right? And we're kind of articulating that, it's through technology in a sense, but that technology is really about using a new way to connect people in a way that we kind of used to, but just on a more kind of grand scale, if you will. Like, there's no barriers for like the information and kind of like wealth that we can use to kind of create these new forms, but also in a local way too. It really, like, I feel like DAOs just remind me of like local co-ops and ways for communities to organize just permissionlessly. Like we would anyway, just with your neighbor down the street, get together and figure out a way to organize and share a treasury and kind of just do things in a way that you would see, not necessarily with like the invisible hand of the corporation on your shoulder. So I think the opportunity is massive to just redefine how, not only like how workers can own the organizations and companies they work in, but also to imagine new forms that we haven't even seen yet. So I'm stoked all around to see what comes. I mean, I don't know if the path will be easy, but I'm here for it either way.
Yeah, I love the enthusiasm as well, and it is going to be an interesting conversation that we're going to have. Because different DAOs are in different places and they see their own path to decentralization in different ways. Hazel, you were at the forefront of Labour DAO's research on compensation. What have you learned from that? What do you think that we can? What do you think we can aim for with this pod in terms of moving this world in a more decentralized way for workers, bringing them in? What are some of the challenges and opportunities that you see?
For sure, yeah, like that's a big question, but I feel like I just want to like second and like a lot.
Sorry, break it down.
No, like a lot of what Sardius has said, right? But I also don't think about it in terms of like, oh, like we are saving Web3 or we are like coming in and saving Web3 workers or things like that. I sort of feel like, like there's like the DAO world, which is full of like a lot of like experimental like organizational design with like awesome projects like the Common Stack and a lot of like reputation systems, like evaluation systems, like source cred, like praise, like novel ways of compensating contributors and things like that. Like all of that are like awesome experiments. And I feel like there's also the worker, like the labor world, which is like workers' movement, like collective action, organizing on the ground, like local communities and things like that. I feel like both of these worlds have a lot to learn from each other. And it doesn't just go one way. But I want to, I can personally be able to facilitate a sort of conversation between those two worlds for them to, for better conversation to flow between them, I suppose.
Hey everyone, it's Alex. Just taking a second away from the chat to say thank you again for joining us on this journey. If you like what we're doing, please consider supporting us on our Patreon. We've put the link in the description. Times are very tough out there, so you can also help us in other ways, such as sharing or liking our content on social media, rating our podcast on iTunes, or just spreading the word about our project to your friends and networks. We've put all of these links in the description. Help us build the people system with blockchain. Now, let's get back to the chat.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And we should, thanks for making that clear, because if you were listening to me there, you might just think, are these guys just going to look at DAOs and how contributors are in DAOs? Where, as Hazel says, the aim is to be more broad than that. Look at Web 2. What do they think about Web 3? How does these worlds compare? Let's interview some thought leaders in Web 2, Web 3. How are they thinking about what way this should go? Kind of like the research you're doing or what other people are thinking about. Anywhere in any way, there's an intersection between sort of the workers' movement or the labour movement, unions, DAOs, worker co-ops, anything that kind of touches the worker in Web 2 or Web 3. And looking at both of those through the prism of both of those, we want to drive that discussion and have those interesting discussions. Vanessa, let's bring you back in, because Sardius said there that spirituality is important. I think that people will bring different worldviews and sort of values and whatever culture they're from, they'll bring that worldview. there's a lot to learn from each other, and I think we're all agreed that there's something broken with the current system, and we need to sort of move away from it, move past profit, move past neoliberalism, think about new ways of how we build a better world, right? And I think that's what we're trying to achieve with Web3 Roots, right? And that will inevitably involve contributors in DAOs as well, local cultures. But what we're trying to do is not necessarily the how they're doing it, although we want to find that out as well. But we first and foremost want to try and get to the why, right? Because the why influences the how, right? Isn't that what we're trying to achieve?
Yeah, exactly. I think it's not, this movement is not a casualty. I feel like Web3 in a way is a spiritual movement. And what do I mean by spiritual? What do I mean by spirituality when I say we're going to explore these themes? I mean the potential of humanity. What we want to dive in is their story, their origins, and what is it that lies within us that drives us to do these projects. Because I think that technology is not an enemy of spirituality, or vice versa. Science is not an enemy of spirituality. So what we want to do is to look at this movement through that lens, and see how this is intertwining, because I think that Web3 is a technology that is for creation, it's for developing the nature of self.
Right.
And I think it's not a casualty that we are looking to this technology for social impact and to have an impact on planet Earth. So I want to dive in that. What are we doing to have this technology serve those purposes, and what is driving us to do that? And that I think that those values are core of this technology. We are looking at this way of working together, not from a perspective of competition, but for collaboration. So I think that's really interesting, and that this question about how these ancestral knowledge that I'm studying, I in a way I see it reflected on what is Web3 today, and where it's going to, and that made me ask that question. How is this technology intertwining with spirituality, or what is the philosophy behind these motivations? So that's what we want to explore here. More sort of like the why of these projects, more than the projects themselves.
Yeah, and I think just to let everyone know, like it is going to be a little bit of both, right? Because I think there is that sort of that we want to dive into the conceptual, into the deep, dive into people's souls, if you will, or the souls of their projects. But that will inevitably result in a conversation about what is their project, how are these sort of values, how are these worldviews influencing their projects. Okay, it's one thing to have a founder and they think this, they think that, or a contributor or whatever, but are they actually taking that and directing it into their project? Or the community, are they directing into the project? Local indigenous cultures, wherever it is what's important to them being influenced into the project, or is it all talk? And we do want to open up different conversations. So we're not articulating a worldview that we're going to be putting on everyone else. It's about opening up conversations, right, and exploring that and getting regenerative movement and Web3 thinking a little bit more deeply about why this is important and I'll try and get them to move in that direction. I saw you and Claudio working on an Excel spreadsheet today about potential guests. I was like, good on you guys. That means you guys are steaming ahead. How's that Excel spreadsheet coming along today? You had a few names in there, right?
Yeah, we're excited about this journey, and we have a lot of projects that we want to do this soul diving with. So yeah, we're excited. We're excited to start this.
Making a list of all the souls you're going to dive into in the next few months. Perfect. And Sardius and Hazel, I think what we're trying to build here with the overall project as well, just to give the listeners some insight into, they may be thinking, woof, so many pods, all of a sudden, what's going on? I think, and the reason why we're having you all together in this podcast is because we're trying to build a collective project here and build out certain themes, certain pods based around certain themes that we think could take a deeper look, be it workers in Web3 or spirituality, the deeper why, the roots of Web3, or with the other pods, this frauds and scams and dystopias, and there's many more that potentially could come. But I think we're jumped all in the Discord now. We're building out a decent community of people of co-hosts and people who want to support us. So for anyone listening as well, I just put out a tweet. If you got any sort of skills or whatever, jump in, join the teams, help them out. We want to build out these pods, build out this network collaboratively together and grow together. And if you want to be involved in that, get in touch with these guys or any of us on the team. Be greatly supported. But I think that's it, guys, isn't it? I think Web3 is a little bit different from Web2 in the sense that it's more collaborative, collective, isn't it, rather than competitive or this, that, or the other. So we're trying to foster that in the Discord. I'm hoping it's some fun in there as well. It's not too dry. I'm in some Discord channels where it's like, oh my God, what am I doing in here? Are you all having fun in there and believe in what we're doing?
Yeah, for sure. I'm excited to take a look at why are we going back to work in a community, in collaboration.
Yeah, we can all learn from each other. And Sardius, you and I are in a bit of competition to get those level points right now. I see Sardius coming in with a few GMs extra, which trying to sneak ahead. But I think that is the name of the game, is to be collective and live our values, right? And the sooner we can support contributors and build this out and become a DAO, the better. So yeah, grateful to have you all on, and thanks for your time. And we're really excited about the upcoming pods. I think we're on course to launch. We've got one episode. We've got Crypto Dark Pod that will hopefully launch this weekend or early next week, and then there's last bit of work to do on the little bits and pieces around these two. But we're getting there. So hopefully within the next week or two, provided Vanessa's lights stay on in Caracas. And Hazel, you're moving at the minute, Hazel? You're staying in New York, isn't that what you were saying?
Yeah, I'm in New York.
Yeah. And Sardius, you're based in...
I'm in Virginia, in Alexandria, kind of near DC on the East Coast, yep.
Right. So, and I'm in Sao Paulo, so we're a bit all over the world. Great, guys. We'll end it there. That was just to let everyone know what's going on. Stay tuned, folks, for the next couple of weeks. And follow us on Twitter, Web3Roots Pod, Web3Workers Pod, on Instagram and TikTok as well. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. We look forward to working together in the next weeks and months. Have a lovely evening.
Thanks for having us.
Right,
Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Good night, all.
Yeah, thank you.